So usually here on the channel, or actually almost always for the past couple of years, I've been publishing 2 videos a week. The second video that I had planned for this week, as it turns out, contains a product that is under embargo for another, I don't know, couple weeks to the end of November. So in order to fill that gap, I asked you guys what you wanted to see from me on the channel, and a lot of people wanted to see a Q&A video. So that's what we're going to do today. We're going to answer your Q's with my A's. First, coffee. So Jacob Tran asks, what do you do with all your monthly builds? Do you put them on display? Do you dismantle them? Or what? So basically, the monthly builds exist as kind of a model for you guys, or at least a test scenario for that kind of hardware, how it's going to perform together, and what you guys might expect if you do something similar with similar hardware. So I don't necessarily, for the most part, have a use for them beyond that test. It's almost like when I get a new graphics card in and I pop it onto my test bench and run those tests, I don't leave it on the test bench after that. It comes off, it goes back in the box and back on the shelf for, use in the future. So same thing with the monthly builds. They don't stay together. They do get dismantled, some more quickly than others. Some do have a purpose, like the mini ITX build I did in the Lee & Lee TU150 is still together. But for the most part, within a week or so, whenever I get a chance to do some cleaning down here and put all my stuff away, they get dismantled. They get put back in the box. All those parts are back on the shelf. Back on these shelves over here, just so they're available for me to do future testing, comparisons, and stuff like that. Keith asks, how do you accept your Shill checks? Do they classify as standard payroll, or are they considered the same as a donation? And I guess I know that this is like a funny, like, in the moment topic, but it's just getting kind of tired. Hold on a second. Oh, well, I gotta grab a tissue. Jeff M asks, goals for 2020 could be channel related, personal, whatever you feel like talking about. Well, to be honest, 2019 was kind of a rough year, and I don't know if that really had anything to do with the giveaway, the big giveaway that we did at the end of last year, where obviously gained a massive subscriber base, but throughout the first half of this year, that it eroded pretty rapidly, lost about 20,000 subscribers. Leveled off at about 114,000, and I haven't gained subscribers since then. It's been like up and down, up and down. You gain as much as you lose. You have some good days, some bad days, but overall it's been like net 0 subscribers since the middle of the year. And overall, if you look at all of 2019, it was actually fairly heavily into the negative. So, and also I think that that's been driving YouTube's recommendation algorithm, because the views are down, revenue's down, click-through rates down, everything is down. So it was a rough year for the channel, despite the fact that I think that I produced some of my best content. I was really happy with what I was doing, and I think that a lot of the response from you guys in the comments was good. But as far as like channel growth and where I wanted to be at the end of this year, we are way, way far away from that. So my goal for 2020 for the channel is not necessarily to have huge explosive growth, but it's just to get back to something that I could look at as positive. So it would be some subscriber growth, maybe get back some of that lost viewership. Hopefully revenue increases as well, or at least gets back to the point where it was last year when I had 35,000 subscribers, and I was making more money than I am now. And that's not the be all and end all, so don't take it that way. But it's important when you're running a channel that costs money to run that revenue is coming in to support that channel. So 2019 was rough. Hopefully 2020 will be a little better. Sean asks, can we one day get a video of Indy and his puppy hijinks? All right. You want to play with the hose? Yeah. Indy's going to join us for this next question. Bodo asks, what is the hardware that you use to monitor power draw? And to be honest, the only power draw hardware that I use is a Kilowatt, and I've shown that on the channel before. It's a very simple device. You just plug it right into the wall, and whatever you want to monitor, you plug into that. The limitation to that is that it only monitors system power draw, not necessarily individual components. So the way I do that for the channel is through software. So Hardware Info 64 allows you to monitor CPU power draw, and GPU-Z and Wattman allow you to monitor GPU power draw. Now, while some people might have reservations about using software to monitor power draw, at least if you're doing a comparison and you're talking about 2 or 3 or 4 different components and you're using the same software to monitor the power draw of all the components, if that software is inaccurate, it hopefully will be inaccurate in the same direction and by the same percentage for everything that you're monitoring. So that way, overall, you could still see how those components compare to each other when it comes to power draw. I haven't necessarily had any problems with accuracy that I'm aware of. If the software is wrong, it's wrong by a very small amount. And I am considering just going and getting a current clamp for use on the channel, maybe next year or something like that, for some more accurate measurements. But for now, I think that that what I'm doing is okay. We Live in a Society says, can you eat a whole large pizza in one sitting? Yeah. It is super bright out here. This was a terrible idea. Flippin' Fred asks, when was the last time you were visited by another tech tuber, or even ask, who was the last tech tuber you encountered and when? Actually, when I was in California, Kyle and I met up. We went to dinner, me and him and our wives, Heather and Megan, and then we hung out at his house for a bit. So that was pretty fun. Dan Daly asks, will 6 gigabytes of VRAM suffice for the next couple of years? And to be honest, this is kind of a it depends question. It really depends on what resolution you want to be gaming at, what games you want to be playing. To be honest, for now, I've tested like a GTX 970 with 3.5 gigs of VRAM, and it could handle most titles at 1080p. Now, granted, you might have to tweak some settings here or there, but that card is from 2014, so that's already 5 years old. So if you're looking at like a GTX 1060 or something along those lines with 6 gigabytes of VRAM, then you could probably tough it out for the next couple of years and be fine. If there's some game that comes out in a couple of years that it, loads an enormous amount of textures and is really demanding, then maybe you can't play that game, or at least you can't play it at max settings. But for now, I would say you're probably okay. With that being said, though, do I necessarily recommend going out and targeting a 6 gigabyte card as your purchase if you want something to use for the next couple of years? Probably not. I'd say probably 8 is what you want to be targeting. But if you already have a 6 gig card, you're probably fine. Just trying to film here. This is pretty normal. So Michael asks, suggested audio mixer for streamers. And I have to admit that I don't have a huge amount of experience with mixers for that specific purpose. I was a DJ, for those of you guys who don't know, for a number of years, and as such I have some pretty good experience with DJ equipment and mixers in that realm. But as far as audio mixing for streaming and whatnot, I don't use one. I use a Scarlett 2i2, which is an audio interface. Allows me to connect an XLR microphone to my PC and use that for voiceovers and whatnot. But I wouldn't want to give you advice on something that I don't have experience with. Sorry about that. Mike says, what are some avenues or ideas you're exploring to attempt to overcome what seems to be a very oppressive YouTube algorithm, and how is that impacting your desire to continue to try and grow or maintain your channel? Well, as far as like my desire to grow and maintain the channel, that really hasn't waned. I'm not worried about that. The channel is going to be here. I'm going to continue to make videos. But as far as what I could do to help promote the channel or help overcome the weirdness in the algorithm, I've been experimenting with using different tags and different kinds of thumbnails and different kinds of titling on my videos. But for the most part, I don't necessarily want to change the content that I put out, because that's what has allowed me to grow an audience and what a lot of you guys want to see. So if I suddenly started doing wacky shenanigans instead of building PCs, you guys might be like, why am I even subscribed? So I don't necessarily want to change the core of what makes this channel BPS Customs. I'm going to try stuff behind the scenes and on the back end to try to figure out if we could, overcome the weird YouTube recommendations algorithm, which seems to kind of be biased against a lot of tech channels. It's likely that the audience, YouTube's overall audience, is just skewing so much younger now that they just want something that's different than what we are presenting. So I don't know. I'm not going anywhere, but at times it's a little demoralizing, I guess. But just got to keep pushing on, and hopefully the pendulum swings back the other direction. Mike B wants to know if I've gotten any tickets since I've gotten my BMW, and no, I'm actually typically a pretty safe driver under, most circumstances. Mostly people that get tickets are like idiots who own Infinities. JD asks, any particular gaming moment on the PC that will live forever in your memory? There definitely is. I have a lot of pretty vivid memories back in the day when I was younger, like console gaming, Nintendo, Super Nintendo, Genesis, stuff like that. But that was really before PC gaming became a thing. When I got a little bit older, maybe when I was a teenager, late teens, the thing that I really remember most about gaming on a PC is not necessarily a particular boss battle or anything like that, but maybe there was one summer where my brother and I and a couple of friends, like kids in the neighborhood, would all hang out at my house basically every weekday during the summer. Our parents were at work. We were old enough to watch ourselves. And all we did all summer was like play Magic the Gathering, play video games on the computer, eat whatever we wanted. We had I remember I ate a ridiculous amount of Reese's peanut butter puffs, and I used to love to eat them out of a cup because I could eat them while I played a game and just like I was drinking a beverage. That was an entirely unhealthy summer, but I remember playing specifically TIE Fighter on the PC and just playing it all summer and trying to beat it, like the original TIE Fighter game. I don't know. For some reason, like stuff like that is what I remember and what really brings me back when I start reminiscing. Recently, I have a lot of hours into a lot of games if you look at like my Steam library and whatnot, but all of it is benchmarking. Like I don't play nearly enough to have any recent big moments that might stick out that I'll remember forever. It's all just like running benchmarks and stuff like that. I wish I had more time to play games, but I just don't. But when I start thinking back on it, video games and PCs have played a big part in my life, and I've been around them and involved with them for a long time. And just thinking back to like those teenage years it's kind of fun. It's interesting to think back about like where you were and how much like you didn't, how few things you had to care about and worry about. You just were like, I'm gonna get up today and and eat some Reese's Peanut Butter Puffs and play TIE Fighter all day. That sounds good. I think I'm going to do that for like 3 months in a row. Maybe I'll try that. Maybe I'll try that now. We'll see how that goes over. Greg Salazar asks, can you sell your BMW, please? I mean, I don't know. Can you suck a